Welcome to the birthplace of Kappa Kappa Gamma. This is Mary Osborne, the Stewart House Museum Specialist, and I will be your guide on this tour. This 1865 Prairie-style Victorian home was the residence of Judge James and Isabel Stewart. The Stewarts were the parents of Mary Minnie Stewart Field, one of the founders of Kappa Kappa Gamma. The Stewarts moved here from Oquawka, Illinois in 1861, when Minnie was about 9 years old. She grew up in this house and spent part of her adulthood here as well. We will begin the tour with the most significant room to Kappa Kappa Gamma. We refer to it as the charter room, but the family would have called it the front parlor. The Stewarts entertained guests in this space and spent their leisure time here. The front parlor was largely a woman's domain. It would have been Mrs. Stewart's responsibility to furnish this room, everything from the wallpaper to the carpet. Since this was the first room guests saw, it was essential to make a favorable impression. Appearance was very important in the Gilded Age. Many scholars also argue that parlors are where the women's rights movement began. Women gathered in this room to socialize and to discuss current events such as abolition, temperance, and women's suffrage. This room is significant to Kappa because the founders signed the fraternity's charter and constitution in this room in 1870. Minnie had been a student at Monmouth College for about 2 years. At that time, there were only around 11,000 women in the country who were college students. Women like Minnie and the rest of the founders were trailblazers. They faced prejudice from male professors and students who believed women shouldn't pursue higher education. Many opponents of higher education for women believed that it would make them unfit wives and mothers by damaging them physically and psychologically. Although women students at Monmouth could belong to literary societies, Minnie and her friends wanted a fraternity of their own. They wanted to build a network of friends in order to develop good character, maintain academic excellence, and to support one another. Another room that was used for entertaining was the dining room. Here the family would be very careful to demonstrate good etiquette. Good etiquette was especially important for women. It was a way to demonstrate their femininity. Families also displayed their wealth in glassware, silver, and china on their sideboards. We don't actually have a sideboard here at the Stewart house, but the chest and mirror in the dining room give that effect. The Stewarts would be considered middle class or upper middle class today. In fact, after Minnie's brother William became the head of the house, he employed a live-in servant periodically. I have found 3 of them in the U.S. Census: Matilda, Augusta, and Ida. We know very little about these women, but Augusta was a German immigrant who had cooking experience. These servants would have undertaken a range of duties, including laundry, cooking, and cleaning. One item I'd like to draw your attention to is the antique oak and oak mix convertible high chair and stroller that was handmade in Monmouth around 1870. It features turned wood spindles and cast iron wheels. It belonged to Ivory Quinby, a prominent businessman who was very influential in bringing the college to Monmouth. In the early 20th century, the newspapers referred to the living room as the West Parlor. This room was the site of a number of parties and weddings. When Minnie taught grade school in Monmouth, she hosted parties here for her students. In 1883, she entertained at least 30 pupils at 1015 East Euclid. They had music and recitations. In that same year, the Stewart House made the news for being the site of a telephonic concert. In Peoria, a concert was being given in a home that had a telephone. The telephone operator then connected the lines, enabling the sound to travel over 70 miles away to the telephone at the Stewart's residence, where guests listened to the concert. In 1908, Minnie's nieces, Isabel and Lucretia, were married from this room. At that time, it was not unusual for major events, including births, weddings, and funerals, to take place in a family's home. The gatherings that took place at the Stewart house often featured music. This 1887 Weber grand piano was transferred here when Kappa's Heritage Museum closed. A copy of the Kappa Kappa Gamma Waltz is displayed on the music rack. S.H. Price, a professor of music at Monmouth College, composed the melody. Sue Walker, one of Kappa's founders, was known for her ability to play the waltz. Our final stop on the tour is the library. The library is believed to be the early law office of Judge Stewart, Minnie's father, and currently houses many books owned by him and his son, Minnie's brother, William K. Stewart. Their partner's desk is in the center of the room. The library holds several significant documents and objects pertaining to Kappa Kappa Gamma's early history and to Minnie Stewart's family. A prized Stewart family heirloom is Judge Stewart's walnut and pine bookcase from the 1850s. It contains the original wavy glass in the upper doors. The bookcase displays some of Judge Stewart's law books and a few children's books that belong to his granddaughters, Lucretia and Isabel. Generations of the Stewart family continued to live in this house until 1987, when Mary Weir Huff, Minnie's great-niece, passed away. In 1990, the house became the Stewart House Museum, which is operated as an educational outreach initiative of the Kappa Kappa Gamma Foundation. Thanks for joining me on this tour.